Thanks, Meg. That's really great to hear how Zeph is doing. We'll just turn to the audience now. So I'm not sure if we're going to have a microphone, but I'm sure people can probably just call their question out to me, and I'll relay it to Meg. So is there somebody who's got a question? Just put your hand up if so. Yeah? How often do you worry about money? Okay. How often do you worry about money?
How often what, sorry?
How often do you worry about money? And I guess not having enough of it.
I actually can't hear the question. It just sounds very muffled.
Can you hear me better, Meg? No.
Can you hear me now, Meg?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit.
Okay.
Let's try again.
Can you hear any better through this?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'll just stand here then. How often do you worry about money?
Oh, I can hear how often, but I can't hear the last one.
Where's Brendan? I'll try, maybe it's my accent.
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear us. Meg?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'll try this. How often do you worry about money?
Oh, I still can't. I can hear you. Do you want to write it down? Or Anna, do you want to text it to me?
Oh, I'll just I'll type it into the chat. Here we go.
How often do you worry about money?
Yes.
Good question. How often? Usually when Patrick has one of his harebrained ideas, because he doesn't give me much notice. So Patrick, he doesn't even know how to get into his bank account. He doesn't even know he's like anything to do with money. As long as he's got money in there to go to the tip and to buy plants, he's very, very happy. And it's really funny because I'm actually numerically dyslexic, but I happen to be the one who's in charge of our household finances. And I actually enjoy it. Just sort of trying to stretch a little bit to go a long, long way. I don't actually worry about finances. I don't. I used to a lot, especially when we bought this block back in 2008. And I had a full-time job and Patrick was working as a builder, and I lost my job the very same day that we signed our mortgage. So, and I haven't had full-time work since then, nor do I want it. And we had the lender calling us every 2 weeks saying, your payment is due, your payment is due. And I promised myself, and I did, that I would answer the phone every time, that I wouldn't ignore them. But so since, that was a very stressful couple of years, but since then, I don't. Maybe I should, but I don't. I just feel like when we need to have some money, we just run a house and garden tour, or we have some tiny houses which we open up to, ask people to pay to stay there. So we can advertise. We do have ideas for making revenue. And it's interesting because on the other hand, Woody has like a gazillion side hustles where he makes money. So he's often got more money than us. So maybe I can borrow from the bank of Woody. And that is because he sees, he has scarcity mentality about money, but Patrick and I don't. And that's just one of the byproducts of living like this. And but also one of the positives is that he knows how to make money. And you saw in the film he makes chopping boards. For those of you who also saw the Happen film, A Day in the Life of Woody, he mows lawns and he's got a whippersnipper business and he's bought a chainsaw for himself, and he chops down, goes to the forest and harvests wood, or to other people's land where they've got fallen trees, and then he sells that in the winter time and delivers it in a wheelbarrow to our neighbours who are elderly, who can't go very far. So he has lots of ideas, and we also love it to really push the limits. So it wasn't really in the film, but we also, we busked as well as hitchhiked.
Mhm.
So when we ran out of money, we didn't actually run out of money, but when we were low on money, we just busked. And also, because I worked for David Holmgren, which is shown in the film, we travelled with a laptop and I still worked my 2 days a week. So that also helped fund.
Awesome.
But we are now debt-free, entirely debt-free. We paid off our mortgage a couple of years ago, and that is unbelievably over the years. And not having cars and just going without stuff has really helped.
Thanks, Meg. I'm going to try another question. I think, yeah.
Is there a movie about hitchhiking in India?
I might pass that question to Antoinette. So we're going to have a question for Antoinette now, Meg.
Well, I'll answer that while we hopefully resolve the
I'll just
sound
say
issue.
Is there a movie about hitchhiking to India?
Yeah.
There isn't a movie, but we extensively blogged it. And our website is artistasfamily.is. It's hosted in Iceland. And as we like to say, it's the isness, not the business. Well, the isness is the business. So we extensively blogged it on that. And each blog post was about 100 photos.
But George was very keen to end the shoot with a trip to India.
Yeah, that would have been so fun if he'd come along.
Meg, we might just have while we're kind of talking about filmmaking, a couple of questions, or just maybe Antoinette. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the making of the film and any kind of highlights? And I'll just let Meg know.
So this was a bit of an unusual film for us. Normally we would spend 2 or 3 days with a family or a person or a project that we're filming. In this case, George lived on Meg and Patrick's property for 6 months. So they, as Meg said, they rent out a little shack on the property that they call Love Shack, and that's where George lived for 6 months. And in exchange for the rental, he worked on the property, and that enabled him to really embed himself in their lifestyle. So we've been filming with Meg and Patrick and Woody since 2016. So we know them well, and we know their philosophy and their way of living, but for George to actually have breakfast, lunch and dinner with them and work alongside them and see the day-to-day of their community connections was a really wonderful way of pulling this. And also there was a little bit of seasonality that's shown in the film as well. So yeah, it's a bit of an unusual one, but it was probably the best experience George has had as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Any other questions for either Antoinette or Meg? Yeah, up the back.
Could I also speak to that?
Yes.
I feel like there are so many scenes in the film where we're talking directly to the camera, and of course we're talking to Jordan. And over the years we have developed such a beautiful friendship with Antoinette and Jordan, and I really feel like that love and that trust comes through in the film. And we've had filmmakers and TV crews come here before, and it's just felt really extractive and just sort of stressful. Here's what we're going to film, and if you don't have this growing in the garden, well, maybe you could buy some. And it's just it has not been pleasurable every single time, like it has been with the Happen Film crew. So yeah, really, really grateful. As Patrick calls it with Jordan, sleeves rolled up filmmaking, that he's in there. And there was one scene, didn't actually make it into the film, but they're butchering a goat that's hanging up in our outdoor kitchen. And he's filming, and then he's like, hold on a sec, and then he's helping, and then he's filming again, and there's blood flying everywhere. But that really, that doing, saying, and filming the doing, saying at the same time. And of course, because he was here, living in one of the tiny houses, we could just go over there and say, Jordan, there's ice on the plunge tank, come and film us. Or we're harvesting honey, come and film. When the exciting things were happening, he was just there. So we could encapsulate that and film it and include it.
Thanks, Meg. Up the back.
Thank you. As someone who lives part homesteading and part in the other, the world out there, I find that I do make quite a lot of compromises, and I'm constantly deciding how to navigate my own values and society and be part of society. And I'm wondering if you also have that kind of, I don't know, tension, or if you feel that you have to compromise, or you want to compromise sometimes, and if you would be willing to share any thoughts on that, of your experiences.
So the question I've got here, as someone who lives part homesteading and part in the other world, I find I make compromises and how to navigate my own values. Do you have that same feelings of compromise?
Beautiful.
Is that,
Thanks, Anna.
yeah, thank you so much for that question, and thanks Anna for texting it. Absolutely, yes. I feel like it was much easier when Woody was younger. And even in the film, he wasn't a teenager then. Now he's a teenager, and we're getting some really healthy pushback. And that's really interesting for us, just to, okay, this is, you know, we don't want to live as isolationists in a bubble. We want to live porously and interact with the world because we're part of the world. And I feel like when Woody moves out of home, or as I like to say, he'll stay here and we'll move out of home, or whatever happens, I feel like it will be much easier for Patrick and I just to live a very simple life. But with Woody, there's, you know, added complexities of, you know, another person's needs. And we have been his entire life very strict about what we eat and what we buy and the things that come into his house. So we mainly shop at a food co-op, which is shown in the film, and there's also another small family-run grocery store in our town, and they have a really good organic section. And this is maybe last year or within the last 6 months, maybe, I don't know, sometime. I was standing at that organic section buying some things, because local people sell their produce, but they also have things from further afield. And Woody was standing, I must have been in the cooler months, because Woody was standing next to me. He was begging me for cucumbers because he just, you know, we can't grow enough. You know, it's a quarter acre here, and we cannot grow enough cucumbers to feed this boy. And it was winter time, or at least autumn. It was cold, and he was begging me for cucumbers, and I was saying, no, I'm sorry, but they're out of season. End of story. Stop asking me. I've already said no. That's it. And a woman came up behind me, a woman I didn't know, and she said quietly in my ear, do you know how lucky you are that your son is begging you for cucumbers? By the ear of cucumber. And I was so grateful to her, and I turned around and I said, oh, thank you. Thank you for that kind of reality check wake-up call. And I've been buying him cucumbers ever since. So that's just one story. And of course, it's also a story about my own porousness and my own flexibility, because I do have a tendency, as does Patrick, to be kind of like a hard, firm line. And, you know, as Zephyr has taught us to be, wobbly with that line, Woody is teaching us in different ways. And also, Woody is being crazy about cricket. His club wears 100% polyester cricket gear, and it's full of microplastics. And when we wash it, all of those microplastics go into our garden. And of course, when he's hot and he heats up all of the microplastics, not all of them, but the microplastics go into our bodies. And I'm sure most of you are across microplastics and in the brain and all of that stuff. But I recently read that kimchi is one of the only foods that we can eat that help draw the microplastics out. So I read that out to Patrick and Woody said, like, Mum, if you know, make as much kimchi as you like, because I really want to keep wearing my club uniform, but, you know, I also want to stay healthy, so if you make me kimchi, then I will eat the kimchi. So, you know, these kind of compromises are really beautiful ongoing conversation. And that's one of the things that we definitely, the beautiful lessons that we learned from our whole experience with Zephyr, is no matter what happens, we want to stay open and in conversation with him. And of course, we many times said to him, you know, the crimes that you did and that kind of behaviour is fucked. It's not on, but we love you, but not always your behaviour. And just to keep those communications open, that for us that is the learning. And also to go easy on ourselves. Like when we do, we do go to Melbourne, for example, the nearest town to here, and we think we've packed enough food for the day or for a couple of days, but we haven't, and then we have to go into a store and buy stuff. And we try to eat, unpackaged food, but that's not always possible. So we make compromises, and we try our best.
Thanks, Meg. Another question? Yeah, Liz.
How's your shoulder?
How's your shoulder?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's good now. Yeah, Patrick, he has ongoing shoulder issues now. So I made a new batch of comfrey salve, and also he does the stinging nettle. And our stinging nettle is in abundance in our garden at the moment. So,
Lots of little lessons for us, Meg. I still do the spiralised apple for dehydrating, which I learnt from visiting you. So, and any other questions? Yeah, Lindsay.
I'd love a sense of how complete their own food supply is and how much they might have to buy in, or what they have to buy in that they can't manage on their own.
Meg, can you hear me? Or should we wait for Anna's translation of the question?
I heard something about buying in. That's all I heard.
Yeah. How much food can you kind of self-supply, and how much do you have to buy in?
Depends on the season. Sometimes we have, how complete is your food supply? How much do you buy in? In one of the other Happen films that they made about us called Creatures of Place, we talk about that we never try to be self-sufficient. For us, that's not a goal. We believe in community sufficiency. So it's never about growing enough and growing everything for ourselves. It's always about integrating and interacting with our community. So we have lots of swaps that we do with people, and as you saw in the film with the bush school, and even that one day for bush school, we get so many dinners and so many gifts given to us that that we rely on. Even though we don't know, we can't rely on in the future because we don't know what's coming, but we still have come to rely on the gift exchange as a large part of our economy. I guess that's fine.
Thanks, Meg. I think we've probably just got time for one more very short question, if there is one. Kia ora.
Just wondering about expanding on that in regards to a greater society and the desires to have things like laptops to be able to do work, but the need to grow our own food and survive as individuals and smaller communities.
Did you hear that, Meg? No. Are you translating it in? Yeah. So just the tension between kind of, I guess, the maybe modern items we might want, like laptops, and then kind of that self-sufficiency.
I can't actually hear. I can see Anna typing. I might just wait. Sorry,
yeah, okay.
Rachel.
Just let her know this will be the last one as well.
Can you expand on a greater society and the need for laptops for our work, tension between modern and self-sufficiency? I can't really speak to a greater society. I can only speak for my own personal experience. We do, I do rely on a laptop. Patrick and I share a phone, and now Woody as well. He's allowed 10 minutes a day on the Cricket Australia app. What was I going to say? Yeah, so the laptop that I'm on at the moment is our shared laptop, and it's about 10 years old. We bought it refurbished. We have the internet at home. There's that, in permaculture they talk about appropriate technology, and I had an electric bike for the first 10 years of Woody's life, and when he was strong enough to go on his own bike and keep up with me, then I sold that, and now I've just got a regular push bike. So, there's push and pull. We could go complete internet dark, and of course, I think the tension is also like how much are we going to just live our lives in a very quiet and humble way, and how much are we going to open ourselves up to share what we're doing? And that requires technology to do it.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Meg. We're going to wrap up now, and I'm just wondering, Antoinette, is there any last words that you'd like to share? No pressure if you feel comfortable. You've said enough.
Off the top of my head, no.
No.
But thank you, and thank you, Meg, if you can hear me, for being so eloquent. And thank you all for the questions and for staying. And yeah, that was lovely.
So thank you, Meg, and Antoinette. Thank you, and Jordan, for your beautiful storytelling, and Meg, Patrick, and Woody, and Zephyr for opening yourselves up to share so personally with the world. You know, we really, really appreciate it. It's been a beautiful and inspiring film to watch, and I just really hope that lots of other people get to see it. And thanks everybody here for coming along, for supporting this film, particularly to Antoinette for being here, and also for the Climate Action Festival. I encourage you to go to the Climate Action Festival, or the Climate Climate Forum website, Nelson Tasman climateforum.nz. It's 2 weeks of events, and I encourage you to check it out tonight, because you don't want to miss something tomorrow or on the weekend. There's a lot happening every day for the next 2 weeks. I'm Aaron, who opened with karakia, advised us that we'll have kind of a more formal karakia at the end of the festival. So I'm just going to close now with a very brief karakia. Kumutu a mato mahi mo tēnei wā, manakitia mai mato katoa, ia mato e hoki atu ana, ki o mātou nei kāinga, kia tau te rangamare e, hui e, taiki e. Thanks everybody, I wish you a safe journey home, and thanks again for coming along.